Attention commanders, Helen has received an emergency broadcast. Parallel superimposition is returning. Yes, yes. Hope everyone's doing well. And Yorktown 2, as well as Hornet 2, Langley 2, Hammann 2, and Northampton 2. Plenty of 2s in this event. In fact, everyone's a 2. Means everyone, their previous forms got sunk. But yes, we'll be returning Parallel Superimposition. You know how many times it took me to say that in the intro bit there. But yes, this will be a light rerun, so I'm going to talk about the details, and we'll move on to the ship girls. So, this event will only last 1 week, as all reruns are doing now. I thought this would be after the Lunar New Year. They decided, you know what, let's just do it right after New Year's. So screw up my whole calendar prediction. Thank you, Yosar. But every 200 pulls, you are guaranteed to get a Yorktown 2 copy, and you get 4 copies this way. Hopefully you don't need to go to 200 pulls to get a Yorktown 2 copy if you don't have her. That'd be nice. But she's quite good. Very strong AA. Very good buffer for your Eagle unit ships. We will get 44 free pull tickets for this event from logins, missions, and the event shop, as well as the point accumulation. The event portion only requires you to obtain the ship rolls since the light rerun. You don't need to have a maximum break. Normally Yorktown 2 would be just obtain her, but everyone just obtained them now. So if you're really close and you couldn't give them a maximum break in time, or you're missing maybe 1 or 2, then as long as you just have the ship girls in your dock still, you're good to go. So you get it pretty easy, which is nice. Normal mode stages will have a ×5 point multiplier for your daily first clear. And hard mode stage will have a ×3 multiplier. So normally hard mode stage doesn't have the multiplier. Now we're getting it, and the normal mode multiplier has been buffed from ×3 to ×5, which is very nice. And overall, a lot easier just to get the rewards this event. So let's move on to the ship girls. And first up, we have Gandalf the White, Yorktown 2, the Essex class version. You can find her in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, just across from Charleston, along with Laffy. That is Laffy 2 in game, so you can see the two of them together. It's very nice that nice museum ships are next to each other. I haven't personally been, like to go at some point, but that is quite a bit of a flight. So yes, let us get on to the ship girl. So she's an Essex class carrier, and she is quite strong, very good anti-aircraft, decent HP, and she's got some very good buffing skills, but they're kind of specific just for Eagle Union ships and 2 classes in particular. There's a little bit of synergy there, but that's okay. She does have the ability to have any aircraft in the torpedo bomber slot, that's her 3rd slot, at limit break 1. Sometimes it's limit break 3 for some of these ships to get the multi-use. For her, it's limit break 1. So she can run double fighters, double dive bombers, and can't run double torpedo bombers. But yes, she has options and flexibility for how you want to use her. So for her skills, the Fighting Lady, that is her nickname. 3 seconds after the battle starts, launches a recon squadron consisting of AD-1 Sky Raiders, inflicting the mark debuff on a random enemy, and this prioritizes humanoid enemies, and decreasing the enemy's AA by 6% for 12 seconds. So your planes will do more damage because it's not getting shot at so much. And 12 seconds after this effect activates, or after the marked enemy ship is sunk, restores 3% of the ship's max HP and launches another squadron airstrike like we just had. So it's going to inflict the same debuff again, and this HP effect recovery can only happen 5 times per battle. So she can get up to 50% HP, which is nice, decent little amount. Not quite a quarter, but just under. And when she launched an airstrike and she has Eagle Union aircraft equipped, she launches another special airstrike. So plenty of airstrikes, lots of planes coming out. It sucks that the faction's name is Eagle Union. To shorten it, you do EU. I put that just because in game it's EU, but it would normally be US. And then second skill, Waltzing Beyond Tragedy. Return from the Shadow she has. When the battle starts, if there are 3 more Union ships afloat in your fleet, increases the ship's aviation accuracy by 15%. So she definitely wants Union ships in your fleet. Fortunately, she has very good options to support her. Every 18 seconds after the battle starts, 100% chance to fire a special barrage, and decreases the ship's detection gauge by 2 once a second for 5 seconds. So, makes you less likely to be targeted, and fires a special barrage. Very nice. While the ship is afloat, for the first 4 battles another fleet fights in during a sortie, increase the firepower of that fleet's main fleet, Union ships, by 6%, and twice after that, fleet's battle starts, fires a special barrage, has her cross-fleet barrage, and her cross-fleet buffs. And I don't think I include the Union buff. Oh, I just said buff in there. Okay, that's fine. And her last skill, the Eagle soars free. When the ship launches an airstrike, decreases your Yorktown CV's airstrike loading time by 10%. This is default Yorktown. This is default Hornet, or original Hornet, original Yorktown, and Enterprise. And also decreases it by 8% for your other Essex class CVs. And this only affects the current loading airstrike, it does not stack. And there's tons of Essex. You got Essex herself, Hornet 2, Intrepid, no Lexicon 2 yet, Bunker Hill, Shangri-La, Ticonderoga, and no Bonhomme Richard yet. And also, your Yorktown class and Essex class CVs gain the following effects during battle. Increases their damage dealt by 10%, and when they launch an airstrike, also launches an interceptive airstrike alongside it to help deal with enemy planes. Interceptors galore. So it's very, very strong, good buffs, wants to be in an Union fleet. I wish it was all your Union carriers and CVLs, but I get why it's just Yorktowns and the Essex. But I just wish I could combo her with a little bit more with Independence. That's All I wanted to do was combo her with a little more with Independence, have her, have Essex, and have Independence all in the same fleet, and just never have planes cross halfway through the screen. That was the dream. Not quite there. But yes, if you don't have her, recommend getting her. Lots of flexibility, like I said. You run double fighters on her, so she can deal with planes a lot. And you have her in your support fleet. That way, she's making the most of it because she has 2 fighters. You also use her in our boss fleet and mob fleet. Just overall, very, very good. It sucks we don't have an LTD for her yet. She came from the generation when they were just doing not the UR having LTD because they have the dynamic for their default art. Hopefully she's an LTD soon. And yes, I wish they postponed this event a little bit more to match up with CarrierCon, so it'd be rerunning at the same time CarrierCon is taking place on aboard Hornet. That'd be really nice. Or maybe, they'll surprise us and have a last minute announcement. They're gonna have an event with the Yorktown Museum. I don't know how open they are to these type of things. Maybe they're not as accommodating as Hornet staff are to these type of events, but you never know. Yes, really recommend grabbing her. If you don't have her, definitely worth the pickup. Next up, we have the event Shop Ship and the map Drop Ship. It's also in the gacha pool, but at a lower rate. Hornet 2 has a special place in my heart, as I first saw her museum when I was a wee lad. I believe it was the 4th grade. We went on a science field trip to one of the museums in San Francisco, and then while we wait for the bus to pick us up, we were at the ferry, and I look over, and in the dark, I see this massive looming shape. I'm like, man, that's pretty cool looking. I don't know what that is. And it wasn't until years and years later I found out it's a museum and it's an aircraft carrier. And turns out it was Hornet. So Hornet, special place in my heart. Really like her. I do wish she had the Essex class jacket. I mean, hers is pretty cool, but I wish she had the Essex class one, as well as Yorktown 2. But I get why Yorktown 2 got her special one for the whole return in white. Okay. Yes. Hornet 2 is free. So I like that. $3.99. Good stats overall as well. No special things with her planes. Just typical loadout of fighters, dive bombers, torpedo bombers. Her skills: when the ship launches an airstrike, Hornet Sting, launch an additional special airstrike with torpedoes and rockets. These are aircraft launched torpedoes, by the way. And also these rockets that inflict a special burn to enemies hit, and the burn kills off her aviation stat. And also, Hornet does increased damage to enemy CLs and light carriers, so light cruisers and light carriers. Second skill, Flying Ace, increases the ship's aviation accuracy by 15%, and increases her fighter aircraft's gear slot efficiency by 15%. Every time the ship's aircraft shoots down an enemy, Hornet will receive a 4% buff to her aviation, and it's going to be stacked up to 3 times. And Hornet's last skill, the Dancing Gray Ghost, when the battle starts, increases Hornet's evasion by 15% and decreases her damage taken by 10%, so it's a lot of survivability. Once per battle, when the ship's max HP falls below 30% as a result of damage taken, this ship's detection gauge value is set to 0, and the ship takes no ramming damage for 8 seconds. And there's a special note here on the wiki. In game, it says the main fleet, but it only applies to Hornet. So when she gets in trouble, she becomes undetected, and she can't get rammed for a little bit. Staying alive. Yes, Hornet, pretty good pickup. Not crazy synergy with anyone else, just solid. You want some damage, there you go. Obviously good with her AA efficiency and her fighter efficiency. So maps with some planes, they're kind of nasty, like Chapter 13 and 13 hard mode. Not a bad option to throw in there. So I'm recommending Hornet because I like her, and obviously personal connection, pretty decent, and she's free. So if you need just a solid carrier just to throw in there and deal with some enemy planes, there you go. You got Hornet. And next up, we have Northampton 2, is Oregon City class. I was under the impression she was a Baltimore, but she's a modified Baltimore. So we'll get to a different class. But yes, she is a heavy cruiser. I haven't really used her much. Got decent AA, decent firepower. No torpedoes. She's an unit ship. They don't have torpedoes. GD secondaries, just kind of basic stuff. Nothing too crazy here. I haven't really used her too much. So I don't have much to say on her, but her skills: Artillery Overload. Every 10 seconds, fires a special barrage. When the battle starts, if there are any other Union ships in your fleet, when this barrage activates, it performs a scan, which marks one enemy, increases that enemy's damage taken by 10% from all types of cruisers in your vanguard for 10 seconds. Now, they don't have to be Union cruisers. You just have to have another Union ship in your fleet. So you have one in the back line. And then, I don't know, maybe you have Azur up front, or Drake. Some hard-hitting other types of cruisers up front, and they benefit from this. That's nice. Her second skill, Pilot Fish, increases ship's evasion and accuracy by 15%. If your flagship is a carrier or light carrier, decreases the ship's damage taken by 5%. And when your flagship launches an airstrike, fires a special barrage that ignores enemy shields. And if that flagship is an Union ship, the barrage also inflicts a 50% speed debuff to enemies for 8 seconds. So she does have some slowing utility. But other than that, like the extra cruiser damage is nice. But I usually like to have like a destroyer up there as well for some speed. Nothing crazy here. Not gonna really recommend her. I do like the futuristic design for the newer Union ships. Kind of differentiate themselves. Not to the point of Guam's Mecca, but Northampton, New Jersey, Yorktown to a good step in looking futuristic, but still says, yes, this is an Eagle Union ship. And she's got a little hat to represent her being a command ship, and her skills kind of reflect that as well for conversion. So that's nice. But Northampton 2, not much to say here. Just heavy cruiser, debuffs enemies for your other cruisers, and then has a slow if you have an Eagle Union flagship. Next up, we have Hammann 2, aka the Hammann. I just noticed a lot of exposure going on with this angle here, young lady. That's not really appropriate. Yeah, she is a destroyer of the Union. She is an Edsel class, which Battleship Iowa had a plaque for Edsel. So hopefully see her soon. But she has pretty good torpedo, decent AA, and she is well above the ASW threshold I like. Got good evasion. So pretty solid overall. And as for her skills, flagship cover, Hammann, while the ship is afloat, increases your CVs and CVL's airstrike damage by 15%, and decreases your flagship damage taken by 25%. And this effect does not overlap with air raid assistance effects and also flagship cover effects. So you can't get 2 for 1 and double up. So she'll buff your carriers and also make your flagship take less damage all in one skill, which is pretty cool. Especially if you're using a lot of carriers, or your flagship is a carrier, keep your carrier alive. And then her second skill, Cautious Caprice. Increases the ship's firepower and accuracy by 15%. And for every 2 enemy aircraft shot down within your Vanguard's anti-aircraft gun range, decreases the ship's damage taken by 2% until the battle ends. And this can stack up to 4 times for a total of 8%. So, nice little destroyer. She gets a preload, which is cool. Also, it's a special ASW weapon, and she gets the effect of all stats given by auxiliary gear are boosted by 30% on her. That's nice. Gets a little extra buffs. Yes, hopefully she'll show up for you and useful for ASW and keeping your flagship and alive and have your carriers do more damage. You know, keep yourself alive by shooting down enemy planes. And it has to be your Vanguard shoots them down. Can't be the backline. And last up, we have Langley 2. She is our point accumulation ship. Get her from, I believe, 10,000 points. It might be reduced because it's a light event, but she is free 99, which I like that price always. Got decent enough AA and aviation, reload, and she does have the ability to have the ASW planes. She's got 100 ASW stat. And as for her stats and lineup of gear, that's fine. Since she's a light carrier, she can only have fighters, torpedo bombers, and then anti-aircraft guns. So be aware of that. You can't run all planes on her. Don't break, nothing special, just fire efficiency, more hangar capacity, fire efficiency, and all aircraft. Kind of standard stuff for aircraft buffs. So her skills, Miss Langley's Guidance. When the battle starts, increases the ship's aviation by 5% for each carrier in your fleet, so light and normal, and increases the ship's damage dealt with her first 2 airstrikes by 20% in each battle. So long drawn out ones, doesn't get as much bonus from that, but if you're running a carrier heavy fleet and you're trying to just knock stuff out really quickly, good. Maybe have the homing beacon so she launched her planes faster. That'd be nice. If you get a preload, ooh, that'd be really good. But unfortunately, she does not. And then her second skill, Miss Langley's Strict Discipline, increases the accuracy of your CVs and CVLs, excluding Langley 2, by 10%. And when Langley 2 launches an airstrike, increases your carriers, so CVs and CVLs damage dealt, by 10% for 8 seconds. So you want to make sure she is launching off her planes first, so your other carriers will get the bonus from it, or have them close enough. I don't know when the damage is calculated for when the planes take off, they get the buff while they're in the air, or it's as they're taking off or before they take off in that threshold. Not too sure on that one. If you're gonna use a light carrier, I just say go grab Independence or Unicorn and retrofit them, because it's just kind of weird. I don't like the excluding the ship part of her second skill. Nice enough as a point accumulation ship, but I don't know. I kind of like the EXP buff that her normal form gave, or first form gave, I guess. So Langley 2 point accumulation. Not much to say here. Got good decent stats, but kind of weird skills. So I wanted to talk about the event gear, because it is quite good. Now, the Douglas A1 Skyraider is a dive bomber. I honestly haven't really used it too much. I know it's pretty decent. I just haven't used it too much. I just have a ton of 10 rise, so I just throw those on everyone for the limit break, the armor break, sorry. But the other piece of gear, the Grumman F6F Healthcat with the HVAR mounted, is extremely good for light armor enemies, and to a lesser extent medium armor. And I only got one copy of this when it originally ran, and I have been regretting it for the last 2 years, which sucks, because it was very good and would have been very useful. So I've been playing hot potato with my one HVAR, which sucks, and they haven't had any Alien event that has this gear rerun until now. Now, you can get prints for this from a couple locations. You can get 15, which is enough for one copy on the event shop. That's where I got mine. You can also farm the stage D3, so it's the last hard mode stage, so you got to be able to get up to there to get it. Unfortunately, C3 does not have a weakened version. It has the Corsair fighter instead, which is fine enough for early game AA, but isn't going to do the same damage as this HVAR is. Now, because this has rockets, and the HVARs are rockets, strong against light, strong and decent against medium, they will not intercept enemy planes, so they don't do as much anti-aircraft damage, so you'll be trading that off when you use them. Now, the rockets have a small splash effect, but unless the enemies are like stacked up on top of each other, they're basically a single target weapon. So keep those things in mind, but it is very good, so I recommend getting it. So like I said, you can get it from the gear shop, get it from the map stage D3, as well as you get a couple copies from the point accumulation. I was wondering, like, why do I have like 7 spare copies? What's going on there? Not have to make a new one, but why are they there? And going through this, I realized, oh, point accumulation, there's a couple there. I will definitely be farming D3 in this event to get me some extra copies of that HVAR, because it is quite good and I've been missing it. And obviously now we have PR7 with that fighter being better, but it is what it is. Only have 1 copy so far, so I just have more HVARs. As for the dive bomber, it has the same rockets as above, except instead of having 6, it has 8. So a little bit stronger in that department. And then also has 1 1,000-pound bomb, deal with heavy armor enemies. Decent enough. And so yes, definitely recommend grabbing both these 2 pieces of gear, because they are quite good. Even though I haven't really used the Skyraider much, and I kind of kneecap myself in terms of the HVAR, but I recommend grabbing them both and trying to get a couple copies, if you can, of the HVAR Hellcat. 2 or 3 would be nice, but whatever you can do, really useful. So here are my stages of note to kind of farm, and kind of descending order of how worthwhile they are. So D3 gives the most event points. You also get Hornet 2, as well as the HVAR Hellcat, and the Repair Toolkit, which is nice for survivability purposes. A little HP, and HP recovery. Also has a fire control radar, and then AA gun, but not the most fantastic. There's still good stuff in here. And then, for the most part, all of the stages have the same ships, and most of the same gear, just a downgraded version of it. For example, B3, it's not on here, but it has everything's the same as D3, except instead of the HVAR, it has the F4U Corsair. Like I said, decent enough AA plane, but not doing the same damage output as the HVAR, but all the ships are exactly the same. That's not true. They're not the same. I'm looking at that. I just looked at the first three. You can get Hornet 2, you can get Houston, and you get Indianapolis, but the rest are slightly different. Whoopsie. So, but yeah. Everyone else you can get just doing campaign. That's fine. Next up is D2. So slightly less event points. You can get original Yorktown, Cleveland. You can get my girl Repulse, as well as you can get the autoloader, gives you more reload, a little bit of firepower, as well as a AA radar, gives you a little AA, and then you can also get a destroyer. Also get a surface torpedo mount for your destroyers, your cruisers, and so on. And this kind of just my go to, just like I have a bunch of them, just slap them on. Nothing special about it. Better for manual mode. It's not homing, but it's okay. And then D1, you can get Helena, Charles Osborne, if you haven't gotten her from chapter 3 or 3.2, one of those two. You can work on your beaver tag. You can also get a copy of, well, multiple copies, because you can farm it. The toolbox. You can get a CL gun, a purple one. It's like the historical gun for the Brooklands. Also get a DD gun, that's HE. It's decent enough early game. You also get a gold AA gun. And my thing with AA guns is, if it's gold, it's good. Just throw the ones that give hit on your battleships. Unless you're me, who puts haze mares on literally everything. You might notice that in my builds, is I just put haze mares on everything. Unless I've upgraded them into being bow for stags, then they're even better. Then after that, I skipped C3, not too impressed. I mean, you can get Dace, and you can get original Hornet. That's about it. Let's get the Hammann and a depth charge. But C2, you can get Arizona. You want to have Arizona, and she has a frontline heal. Also get Queen Elizabeth for that buff. And once again, you get the Hammann. Lots of places to get Hammann here. And then C1, you can get Renown for a battlecruiser. If you've gotten her from, I think it's like 1-4. And you also get Vestal, repair ship, and just an AA battery. Akashi's definitely better. Wish we had a little bit of a repair ship rework. I wish we had a support fleet, just not the way it's implemented, where you have like Vestal, Akashi, Kashino, those types of ships that aren't proper fighting ships can go hide over there and provide their buffs. That'd be cool. You also get a stabilizer, which gives you more evasion and a bunch of AA guns and just cruiser guns, but nothing too crazy there. And SP is exactly the same as D3. So Hornet 2, Houston, Indianapolis, fire control radar, repair toolkit, AA gun, HVAR. Good stuff. So yes, that was my little summary of Parallel Superimposition, aka the Yorktown 2 event. Definitely some good pickups in terms of Yorktown 2, Hornet 2, the planes. So all those definitely go for. And if you don't have them, absolutely. And if you don't have a lot of copies of the HVAR, definitely grab that. Another copy of the Sky Raider, whatever it's called, be really good as well. So thank you all very much for watching. Please leave a like, subscribe if you haven't done so already. Share it with someone else. It helps some people find the channel. It helps it grow so more people can see it and hopefully help them. And take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
よしよし、いい子いい子。警備任務はあと少しだから、もうちょっと我慢して。こちら K2 の留保、海辺での警備任務中です。ショーゴ、何？そろそろ海辺でバーベキューをやるから早く来てって。